morning. It's Monday, October 24th. And just the other week, Mayor Adams declared that most of the crime in the subways was caused by guns. And recently, in his last go-round, he has now switched from guns to mental illness. Now, mental illness is a problem, but it is not a problem that really creates all the crime that is being associated with it. And I don't think that Mayor Adams is qualified to make that declaration, to declare that mental illness is the cause of all the crimes in the subway, or many of the crimes in the subway. Mental illness is a very, very broad category. There are tremendous amounts of diseases that go into the definition of mental illness. Now, if we take a look at mental illness, it can be caused by many factors that humans have to deal with. We can see that when those live below or at the levels of poverty, that stress of making a living and getting through the day and educating your children and dealing with things that may be associated with your race and your color and your religion can cause stresses, and those stresses fall under the definition of mental illness. So can we declare that mental illness is the cause of all the problems in any crime situation? No. And then there are other illnesses that are brought about in the mental category by physical properties that exist within your body. So if you have some physical issue that is associated with your mental issue, does that make you prone to criminal activity? No. So it's very, very unfair to use the term mental illness associated with crimes. When we look at the populations around the world, we can see that much of the mental illness, the distress of daily living, is caused by economic factors. Those who live at the poverty level are more likely to have stress in their lives. But that doesn't mean that they will go out and commit crime. Just the struggle to get children ready to go to school, to make sure that they are educated, to make sure that you have enough food on the table. Does that translate into crime? I doubt it. So I think that this assault on the mentally ill is ill-advised by the mayor. He has to better understand what mental illness really consists of. Not everybody is schizophrenic or whatever other term you want to use to be declared mentally ill. If we take a look at the homeless population in New York, can we say that their mental illness caused them to become homeless? Or was it the reverse? Was it the homelessness that caused their mental illness? You see, that's the conundrum with using the term mentally ill. There are many outside factors that go into what makes somebody unstable, mentally unstable. So one must take a step back and look at mental illness as a social issue, not as a medical illness, as a social issue, not as a medical issue, not as a monetary issue, but as a social issue. We have to recognize that mental illness is a major threat to the society and the economy, but it's not a physical threat. It's not a threat that causes people to go around killing people. That is a minuscule percentage of what is caused by the stress of having a mental condition, right? And mental illness will continue as long as we have poverty level and racial inequality. So it's unfair to blame the troubles in the subway on those with mental illness. Let's get a good look at what causes the stress the mental stress that is put upon people. I don't even know that I'm prepared to call it an illness in such a way, shape. Just the mere fact that we have people who live under terrible conditions in major cities, in major countries around the world. And they live in those conditions because they're different. They may practice a religion that not everybody practices. They may be a different color than everybody else, or whatever. There are many factors. But poverty is a major. And working very, very hard to make ends meet constantly is a major factor in the mental illness arena. So mental illness has many social origins, not physical, not disease. Look at the issues of race and ethnicity, the levels of poverty. Even gender and social classes cause problems. Women probably have more mental problems than men because of the stress that they may be under between raising children, having children, running a household. It's almost impossible under those conditions to avoid developing some form of mental, I don't want to call it illnesses. Let's call it a mental imbalance or something. Because you worry about everything that has to be taken care of. There's a strong relationship between mental acuity and poverty. It's important to understand all of these factors that go into this broad category of mental illness. Why is it that racial minorities have higher burdens of mental illness? Just because they're a minority. They start out with a more difficult life cycle. So I think this term used by the mayor was a disgrace. To recognize the fact that there are very few truly mentally sick people who are committing these crimes. And just the everyday worries that much of society goes through can be classified in that broad category called mental illness. So I think it's a disgrace that the mayor has chosen to use that terminology to excuse the violence that goes on in the subway system. The subway system is in the shape it's in because those with criminal intent take a look at this and say, this is an easy target, we have overlooked it for a long time. So I leave you with those thoughts this morning. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the morning. Bye.